Dodson, Masters of Education, and I'm so glad you could join me today for class. So, you want to learn how to write a procedural paper. Oh, I mean you have to write a procedural paper. So, I think I can help. First, I want to remind you why you're here in the first place. We want to look at how we can succeed through each and every day. The whole semester is divided up into each little class, and we want to just kind of break it down for you each time and keep the long-term goal in mind. So first of all, we have to look at our goal setting. What's your long-term goal? It is probably to pass this class, or it could be also to be a better writer and to get better grades. So what specific goals do you have for this particular assignment? Well, you obviously want to write a procedural essay. So how can you get this done? What strategies are you going to use, and how can you motivate yourself? A couple of ways. You're asking yourself these questions. What strategies are we going to use to help us get through, and are they going to help me get it done, and shall I consider other strategies? Then we're going to reflect. How did I do on the task? How did the goals and the strategies work? What worked well and what did not? What strategies will I try next time? What goals will I set next time? We're rolling. Great, let's get started. First of all, we have to remind ourselves what the big picture looks like. Yes, you have to write an essay. It might seem like a great mountain. However, let's look at our long-term goals. What you might want to be doing and why you're doing this. You might eventually want to have a degree or a diploma. You may want to get an A in this class. You may even want to be a better writer. Those are all great long-term goals for your goal setting. So what's the specific goal for this particular assignment? I need to write a procedural essay. So task management. How are you going to break it up into chunks so that you can get it done and not procrastinate till the very last hour right before class when you just crank it out? So instead of doing that, let's look at what are the strategies we're going to use. How can I motivate myself to do the best that I can do? Then we need to check the progress throughout this process. Are you using strategies? Are they helping me to get the task done? Can I consider other strategies that might help? The fourth and final phase is to reflect back on the whole process. How did I do on this task? How did the goals and the strategies work? What worked well and what did not? What strategies will I try next time? And what goals will I set next time? Remember, a learner always keeps learning. For every essay that you do, we're going to go through these three basic ideas and steps. First of all, we are going to plan. And the strategies we are going to use for setting our goal is the TAP 4 mnemonic device. This is a mnemonic device. It has a quick, catchy way of remembering the structure and the strategies for our paper. This happens to be like the mnemonic device HOMES for remembering the 5 Great Lakes. H for Huron, O for Ontario, M for Michigan, E for Erie, and S for Superior.
Do you want to recut this? We're rolling.
So, for each essay that we do, we are going to plan, draft, and revise. It's the same sequence that we're going to use to be able to write an essay. First of all, in the planning strategy, we're going to use a TAP 4 for setting goals. TAP 4 is actually a mnemonic device, meaning an acronym that tells us a strategy or a sequence of events so that we can remember them. It's quick and catchy. T for topic, A for audience, P for purpose, F for form, O for organizational elements, and R for requirements. We happen to use this in a lot of different places in life. One of them, to be able to remember the 5 Great Lakes of Michigan, is HOMES. So H is for Huron, O is for Ontario, M is for Lake Michigan, E is for Erie, S is for Superior. This mnemonic device helps us to remember the 5 Great Lakes. This mnemonic device helps us to set our goals for writing our paper. The next part of the plan is to brainstorm an idea, and then the final part of the planning is to use a graphic organizer. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of tab 4. First of all, we have to ask ourselves, what is the topic? Well, maybe we don't know what we want to write right now, so we'll come back to that. Who is my audience? My audience is going to be people who want to know how to do something. Okay? My purpose is to explain a procedure. My form is going to be essay. My organizational elements, I am going to use the procedural elements of writing. And my requirements are going to be your basic Times New Roman and MLA formatting. And that's the tab 4. I haven't got to the T part yet. How about let's brainstorm. What are some things that I would want to write a procedure on? Maybe how to cut a snowflake from paper. Snowflake. Or maybe how to change a tire. Or maybe pizza. How to make pizza. I think I'm going to do step-by-step procedures for, I'm hungry. So I'm interested in doing how to make an English muffin pizza, I think. I don't want to really make a snowflake right now. Changing a tire could be useful, but that's something I would have to ask another expert to help me with. But I do know how to make an English muffin pizza. So I think that's something I feel comfortable writing about and breaking it down into steps. So we just did a brainstorm for topics for this procedural writing. So here I'm going to go back to the topic, and I'm going to make an English muffin pizza. And my audience is going to be hungry people. And the purpose is going to be to explain how to cook it. So I came back to my tab 4 to refine it and to give it more definitive details, but to keep myself on track so I don't run off the tracks. Next step. So the O part in the tab 4 is your organizational elements. And this particular paper is a procedural writing paper, so the elements of procedural writing are very important for us to consider. First of all, we have an introduction, and we have to ask these questions in our introduction and answer them. Why is the task interesting or important? All right, and then what is the goal of the task? What materials or skills do you need for this task? That's all in your introduction. Then your next part of your essay is going to be the directions in order to put them in steps and give them an order, and then explain how each step is done, why it's important. And then finally, your conclusion. Tell us how you will know if your task is completed successfully. There's some important words to use when you're doing procedural writing. for the whole process, you're going to use things like first, the first step is, the second, next, and after you do this, then that, then we're going to do this, and then when adding other information like further, in addition, moreover, and furthermore. Now, when we are concluding our essay, we will use the word finally to let people know this is the end of our procedure. Now we're going to go to the graphic organizer part of this, the top 4. Now this is the go part of top 4, graphic organizer. And first of all, we have to look at our goal. What is the goal for this particular paper? The goal is to make English muffin pizza. What materials and skills am I going to need? Well, I'm going to need English muffin. I'm going to need sauce. I'm going to need cheese. I will need a pan. And I will need an oven or a toaster oven. And I will need toppings if I want them, if desired. So that's the materials part of the graphical organizer. What is my goal? What do I need to accomplish that goal? Now let's look at some of the transitions. First of all, I am going to look at this and say that I want to make an English muffin pizza. Why is it important and what is the goal? Well, it's important because it's a quick and easy snack for hungry children that are coming home from the school bus or from hungry professors who have taught all day and need a pick-me-up. And so that's why it's important. It's also interesting because it's easy and attainable quickly. And so if we look at our transitions, we're going to first start with the word first. First, gather all materials and place on counter. Then we're going to go to the next transition word, transition, which is the first step is to put English muffin on pan. My next, tell me in 3, 2, 1.
We're going.
Second, spread sauce on muffin. Next, add cheese, or I don't know, that doesn't sound as good as sprinkle. Sprinkle cheese on sauce and muffin. And after you sprinkle cheese, add toppings, and then place in oven at 400 degrees for 10 to 12 minutes. And then finally enjoy your snack. This concludes the graphic organizer part of the planning stage of your writing. We have all the transition words. First, the first step. Second, next, after you. then and finally. Now it's time to write.